If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Did you know that foreign investors are quietly funding lawsuits in American courts through a practice called third-party litigation funding? Shadowy overseas funders are paying to sue American companies in our courts, and they don't pay a dime in U.S. taxes if there is an award or settlement. They profit tax-free from our legal system, while U.S. companies are tied up in court, and American families pay the price, to the tune of $5,000 a year. But there is a solution. A new proposal before Congress would close this loophole and ensure these foreign investors pay taxes, just like the actual plaintiffs have to. It's a common-sense move that discourages frivolous and abusive lawsuits and redirects resources back into American jobs, innovation, and growth. Only President Trump and congressional Republicans can deliver this win for America and hold these foreign investors accountable. Contact your lawmakers today and demand they take a stand to end foreign-funded litigation abuse.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay. And you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. What does the term digital workplace mean to you? In today's world of AI, robotics, and AR, it's much more than an office full of people on computers. It can be anywhere from a factory floor to the top of a crane to the cockpit of an F1 car. Wherever your digital workplace may be, TeamViewer's mission is to make work better. How? By securely connecting your people with the data, expertise, or insights they need in real time to make work more efficient. By automating and streamlining IT and OT support to fix problems before they happen, to make work more productive. And by bringing all the possibilities of a secure and flexible digital workplace to all your people everywhere to make work more innovative. So discover how TeamViewer can make work better, wherever it happens across your business. Learn more at teamviewer.com/workbetter.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, June 9th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on context, and try to help each other understand.
Today, Apple kicked off its Worldwide Developers Conference. Did it do enough to reassure the doubters?
Ooh, we'll find out. I'm Tom Merritt.
And I'm Sarah Lane.
Let's start with what you need to know with that big story. Hey, Sarah, did you hear Apple had a big announcement?
No. What was it?
You didn't. I'm shocked, actually.
No, I was watching and following along, taking notes like we all were. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff covered.
A little F1 promo shtick at the beginning, which I guess makes sense since they're behind that movie. I was surprised that they led with Apple Intelligence, like right out of the gate after the F1 shtick and the sort of Apple TV is great thing. They were like, hey, we've got more on Siri in the coming year, but we've got things that we're going to talk about. We think we have great on device, et cetera, et cetera. They did follow up on that with a sprinkling of Apple Intelligence announcements throughout the rest of the stuff. And they went right in with the foundation models framework, trying to pitch developers like, hey, you can use our on-device private Apple LLM in your apps without risking user privacy anytime you want. I thought it was interesting and bold and very Apple-like to do that. What did you think of that and the rest of the announcement?
Well, I think because so many people were like, Apple is so behind in, the intelligence LLM market. I think that if Apple would have buried this part of it, people would have said, see, they have nothing. I don't really feel like they had a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Certainly the, Apple Intelligence got peppered in throughout the entire 90-minute announcement. Here and there, you're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. But yes, like you said, very, very Apple-esque, very sort of like we've thoughtfully decided that this is the way that you're going to use our stuff moving forward. We are not OpenAI. We are not Anthropic. We are not, Gemini. We are Apple, and we do things differently.
Yeah, trying to really sell that idea of they use it when it's good, and otherwise, why would you want it?
Exactly.
And we have a story later in the show kind of bears on more of their thinking on that. But I guess the star of the show was liquid glass, the new expressive material design, but not expressive design, because that's what Google does, which is more rounded corners, more transparent interface elements, trying to make the screen feel more expansive, not block your content, new clear look. But the icons all look the same. It's not a dramatic change of the visual language of the icons so much as it is the visual language of how they're shaped and styled, I guess.
I gotta say now, if somebody disagrees with me, please write in. But I was sort of like, okay, it didn't seem that groundbreaking to me. Mm-hmm. It looks nice, but it doesn't really. I don't feel like it's like, wow, my whole experience is going to be so different with liquid glass. I don't know. Freeing up space by using this OS, sure. Who doesn't want that? But otherwise, it's kind of incremental to me.
Yeah, it really feels like the kind of thing I'm going to have to use to tell if it makes as much of a difference as they want me to believe it does or not. Like it just doesn't come across in a demo. In this kind of stream demo.
I'm also a person who's like, if your icons are rounded or square, I don't know. I just want to like tap it and get my pizza.
Yeah.
So half the time it's like some of this artistic stuff is a little lost on me.
We may be delighted when we start to use it, as they kept saying we would be, but we'll have to try it to find out.
Surprised and delighted.
By the way, if you're a developer, you can start trying it out today. Developer versions available. Betas for the public coming in July, and everybody getting it sometime in the autumn, which is pretty standard stuff. Also, as expected, the version numbers have changed. It's now based on the year. So the releases of all of these things will be 26, iOS 26, iPad OS 26, watchOS 26, which kind of makes things easier to remember, honestly. I sort of like that.
I 100% feel that way. In fact, I was having a conversation with somebody last week, and they're like, they're really just going to jump to 26? Just with no rhyme or reason? I'm like, no, there is rhyme and reason.
Yeah.
In fact, it's
reason.
way easier to like keep tabs on this stuff. The devices themselves have a different naming, convention.
Yeah.
But the software, it makes sense to me.
A big problem coming in 2099, though. What are they going to do in 2100? Yeah, they're going to be iOS 100.
It's Y2K all over again.
Yeah. All right, let's go through. We cannot get to all the things they announced because they announced them the way we would here. It would take us literally 90 minutes to announce everything. But what were the big takeaways for you from iOS 26?
All right. Well, so iOS 26, some lock screen stuff stood out to me. One of the things that can be a little frustrating with, and I don't have my iPhone in front of me right now, I don't know why, frustrating with me on my lock screen is I have a variety of notifications, but not all of them. And, and then you unlock the phone and then it's sort of like, you got to swipe down to get the notifications again. Some of it is just sort of clunky. It does sound like Apple is trying to address some of that clunkiness by giving you just a little bit more context on that lock screen, while still obviously being privacy focused.
Yeah. I love that they're catching up with Google on the call screening, and I think their implementation of it is really nice. So if you didn't see that, the phone app can now answer a call from an unknown number automatically and then ring to let you know what the info is. Use the Apple Intelligence to summarize the info. And then, as in their example, if it's the flower delivery person, you can actually pick up the phone and say, oh, yeah, I'll be right down. And if it's a spam call, you can just say, nope, hang up on them, and you're done.
I want to know what the flower delivery person, the real person, who's at your door, what do they hear?
Yeah, I'm curious what the script is going to be. Like with Google, it's like, "Hi, I'm answering the phone on behalf of Sarah, who's calling," and they do some Google Gemini informed
and if it's
stuff,
spam,
so.
they usually just hang up.
Yeah. And this one, it seems like or they'll tell you, and then on Pixel, I can be like, "Nope, don't need that," which is pretty much all I do on the Pixel,
yes.
because I never.
But Tom, don't you want to refinance your house?
Yeah, I never
Again
get any
today?
actual real calls on my Pixel because it's a different number. Also, hold assist. It seems like it could be handy, although I'm not sure if I trust that one as much. Like, I might get hung up on by the customer service person if they don't understand what's going on.
Yeah. You always kind of want to do that within their own phone tree system.
Yeah, and then live translation on the fly with either live voice translation or captions over FaceTime and phone. Kind of nifty, and they were showing it in messages as well. I think the thing that really got me most excited was lyrics translation on music.
I actually thought of you.
Yeah.
I thought of you. I was like, you know what? This is like something Tom would like.
There's definitely a lot of Korean songs that I need translation on. I thought it was
Sure.
interesting they used Hearts to Hearts, a brand new group, by the way, as the example. Anything else? Wallet, you're getting car keys. The Games app, as we had heard, is coming on. Visual intelligence can now pull in details from a screenshot, not just from your camera. I think that makes it much more useful.
Indeed, very much so. Yeah, I mean the the standalone Games app probably won't use it as much as the next person. I know that some people are going to be really happy about that. I was very interested in some of the CarPlay stuff.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Though. Mm-hmm. So I use CarPlay. That is the way that I use my car. I mean, if my phone were to be dead or something, I guess I wouldn't use it. But no, I mean that is what I use in my car. So a new, more compact design that allows for notifications. And of course, CarPlay notifications are different than they would be on your phone because, of course, it's assuming that you're driving and you can't be looking at that center console all the time. But you've got pinned conversations, if you're trying to just kind of keep stuff going on the fly, and new widgets, live activities, things like flight status, all coming to CarPlay. So again, very much depends on who you are, why are you in your car, and how do you use this?
Yeah.
But for me, a lot of the stuff spoke to me. Now, when they said CarPlay Ultra, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. No, it's not for my car. It's for like an Aston Martin, right? That's like the only.
That's the one they showed, and
they didn't specifically say, like, they were like, it's very, it's a small rollout, but coming to many more manufacturers soon. Where I was like, oh, well, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. CarPlay Ultra.
I wanted the more manufacturers.
CarPlay Ultra is the one that runs in the car. It doesn't just reflect it from the phone. It has launched on cars, which they didn't mention by name. They didn't mention anybody by name.
No, they sure didn't.
Really
they showed how it could be. It could you could make it your own speedometer and mileage and all that stuff. And not that I hate what my car has currently, which is a digital display as well. But I was like, oh, that'd just be so fun to be able to, just kind of change it like a watch face.
Yeah.
So not happening with my Volvo today.
All right. They spent most of the time on iOS, and so we did too. But let's take a quick look at the other stuff. WatchOS 26, the Smart Stack will have a better prediction algorithm, wrist flick to dismiss notifications, mute calls, silent alarms, which is nice. And Workout Buddy can use text-to-speech model based on a Fitness Plus trainer to encourage you at key moments of your workout.
I hated this, Tom.
Everyone did. Everyone is like, why would I?
I hated it.
It
was not that I didn't have thoughts on the rest of the announcement, but that was the only X post that I sent was like, don't want Workout Buddy. And now it's not because I think it's unhelpful or somehow, going to like hurt my exercise progress, but it's just like, even they showed us what they thought was kind of like the coolest version of how it would work. And I was like, nope, you just want to mute that person.
Yeah. I'll be curious who does.
Get out of here, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it seemed pretty sanguine.
Well, also, like if you're on a run, like I'm jogging, and I'm kind of in the zone. Maybe I'm listening to a podcast or listening to music. It's like, I don't want my buddy being like, hey, Sarah, guess what your heart rate is?
I don't care. Oh,
No,
yeah.
get away from me.
It is.
Yeah.
tvOS 26 gets liquid glass, of course. You can use your iPhone as a karaoke mic. Multiple iPhones can be used as a karaoke mic. They gave a big trailer of a bunch of new originals. Not really much going on with tvOS 26. macOS 26 carrying over a lot of the iOS features, of course, getting liquid glass, a phone app. You can answer phone calls right now on a Mac, but you're going to get a fully featured phone app on the Mac. Still need to use a phone connected to make the call, but it's going to bring all those iOS features over. And I guess the other big things were Spotlight getting a bunch of ability to start actions, not just search for things. Like you could be in an app and say, how do I create this filter? They showed the Acorn image editor, and then Spotlight would be able to take you to the appropriate part of the app for that. And then you can actually create more intelligent actions and shortcuts based on Apple Intelligence. These two were probably two of the more compelling Apple Intelligence in features kind of stuff. And of course, Game App coming to macOS as well.
Yeah, I mean, all hail Tahoe. That's our new macOS 26 Tahoe. The phone stuff did kind of confuse me because right now, if you call me on the phone, my phone is not near my person, but it's on the same Wi-Fi network as the Mac that I'm using right now. It's like I will get like a Tom Merritt calling, and I can just talk to you here. So I'm sort of like, how does that get better? I'm not totally sure.
Now you can make a call, first of all. Like, you've got a phone app. You can start a call from macOS.
But I could do it from FaceTime already.
You could, but now it doesn't have to be a FaceTime call. You can call somebody with an Android.
Yeah, it feels more phone-esque.
And you get all your contacts and all of that stuff. So,
it's basically just mirroring the phone on your Mac.
Vision OS 26 has widgets that you can hang on the wall, and then it'll remember where they are next time you put on your Vision OS. You can make all photos spatial, so you can look at them in the gallery. Personas are now more realistic. Also, two Vision Pro users can share the same movie, so they're watching them at the same time. There's some accessories. Logitech has a pen. Sony PSVR2.
If only I knew somebody who also had a Vision Pro, then we could do something like that.
Sony PSVR2 Sense controllers can be used with the Vision Pro. They have Adobe lets you edit and preview spatial video. GoPro Insta26 and Canon for playback support of 360 videos and stuff. You've got a Vision Pro.
I do.
You would be the person who would get excited. Did any of these excite you?
Actually, yes. So Eileen, who is my co-host on Apple Vision Show, where we talk about the Vision Pro, but really we talk about most other things Apple because that's most of the bulk of the news. But she'll sporadically ask me like, so what are you doing with the Pro? And I'm like, it's mostly just media consumption. It is fun for me to lay on the couch, head, facing the ceiling and watch something, instead of just kind of, I don't know, you can be in lots of different positions instead of like sitting on the couch or laying on the couch, watching the TV that's on that wall. Now, that is not the reason that the Vision Pro exists. That is one reason that it exists. But it's like, I know, and I've been thinking about this recently. Hello, Vision Pro, wherever you are behind me. Oh, there you are. But I'm like, this is just, I'm not a developer, so I have to kind of wait for development tools to come out. But a lot of this stuff is pretty cool. And warrants, getting back into it and seeing what the ecosystem is like, because I know a lot of people have written it off as being too expensive and not, some sort of performance boost in your life. Yeah. So it doesn't warrant the cost. And that's, if it doesn't warrant the cost, then that's your argument right there. But for those of us who can tinker around, there's more stuff.
I have always thought of it as being an enterprise device still at this point for Apple. And yet they said hundreds of companies use Vision Pro, which is a very small number of companies using Vision Pro.
True.
At this point in the game when it's a year and a half out. Finally, iPad OS 26 with multitasking. Definitely merging iPad more towards macOS with this windowing system that can resize apps into windows from a grab bar on the lower right. It basically can work like an iPad with one at a time or like a windowing system. It's kind of up to you. They're making the files system work like it does in Mac OS. So you see the files in the same kind of way. You can customize folders. That's a new macOS thing, is that you can like change the icon on folders. You can do that here. Preview coming to iPad OS, so you can edit and view PDFs. And then the audio and video stuff, better audio controls for your mics and local capture of video with various video conferencing apps of just your part of the video, so that you can do podcast recording. Background text, a big one for exporting video. You can have it continue to export the video without having to keep that app in the foreground.
Well, and you've also got the menu bar now.
Yeah,
so
the
I
menu
mean,
bar on top.
talk about kind of, merging into the Mac OS territory, which I think Apple has been treading lightly on that for many years. It's like, you want the iPad to be a computer, but Mac does things differently because it's a Mac. And they probably got enough feedback of people being like, if it acted more like a Mac, then that's what people want. So that's what it feels like Apple is doing. Even though, yes, they are two different OSs, it does feel like more of a Mac OS sprinkling than ever.
Yeah, if you want the touchscreen Mac, this is it now, basically.
Yeah.
The other thing they said is that this will come to any iPad that can run iPad OS 26. Now, they didn't make it clear which iPads will run it, but they implied that most of the recent iPads can do this. And the iPad Pro had been, with the M chip, the only ones to do a lot of this multitasking stuff before now. So that's kind of a big deal at this point, because you might have an iPad already that can do this stuff without having to buy a new one.
Yeah. And the whole idea about like, and now you can change the look of your file. You can add emoji based on the whatever you're working on. Like maybe it's a horse if you're, I don't know, doing some sort of project that has to do with horse racing. I don't even know. But at first I was kind of chuckling like, okay, guys, but if you are a person who likes to be organized, this actually is really helpful, especially if you're working on lots of different things at once.
And we will finish our review of WWDC by singing all the features. No, they did a really interesting thing with the Real App Store
6 out of 5 stars.
Good stuff.
I feel silly saying this. I could have looked it up, but I don't know who that was.
Let us know if you knew who it was. feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
DTNS is made possible by you, our listeners. Thanks to all of you, including Chris Beneteau, Jeffrey Zilks, Alo, aka Adam L., and our new patron, Jonathan.
Yay, Jonathan!
Yay! Good to have you.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Trust isn't just earned, it's demanded. Whether you're a startup founder navigating your first audit or a seasoned security professional scaling your GRC program, proving your commitment to security has never been more critical or more complex. That's where Vanta comes in. Businesses use Vanta to establish trust by automating compliance needs across over 35 frameworks, like SOC 2 and ISO 27001, centralize security workflows, complete questionnaires up to 5 times faster, and proactively manage vendor risk. Vanta not only saves you time, it can also save you money. A new IDC white paper found that Vanta customers achieve $535,000 per year in benefits, and the platform pays for itself in just 3 months. Join over 9,000 global companies like Atlassian, Quora, and Factory who use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. For a limited time, our audience gets $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/DTNS. That's VANTA.com/DTNS for $1,000 off.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hi, Brooke Devard here, host of Naked Beauty. Every week, I talk to my audience about beauty and self-care. I'm someone who spends a lot of time in the bathroom. It is truly my sanctuary. So investing in a smart toilet from Kohler has been life-changing. The Kohler Veil Smart Toilet has a heated seat, hands-free opening of the lid, and customizable bidet functionality. It is incredible. But beyond the technology, the design is just stunning. The Veil's curved silhouette in honed black actually inspired creative director and fashion designer Laura Kim to create a stunning black chiffon dress that debuted on the runway at New York Fashion Week. The creative partnership between Kohler and Laura Kim is changing how we think about everyday objects, like a toilet. Transform your routine into something extraordinary with the Kohler Veil Smart Toilet.
Did you know that foreign investors are quietly funding lawsuits in American courts through a practice called third-party litigation funding? Shadowy overseas funders are paying to sue American companies in our courts, and they don't pay a dime in U.S. taxes if there is an award or settlement. They profit tax-free from our legal system, while U.S. companies are tied up in court and American families pay the price, to the tune of $5,000 a year. But there is a solution. A new proposal before Congress would close this loophole and ensure these foreign investors pay taxes, just like the actual plaintiffs have to. It's a common sense move that discourages frivolous and abusive lawsuits and redirects resources back into American jobs, innovation, and growth. Only President Trump and congressional Republicans can deliver this win for America and hold these foreign investors accountable. Contact your lawmakers today and demand they take a stand to end foreign-funded litigation abuse.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get right to the briefs.
Microsoft and Asus announced the ROG Xbox Ally handheld gaming devices this weekend. The devices run Windows 11 and can access games from Xbox, Game Pass, Battle.net, and other leading PC game stores like Steam, Epic, Ubisoft, and more. While you could do all that on a previous Windows-powered handheld, the Xbox-branded version boots into an aggregated game library, which means you can use one interface to see all your games, no matter what platform they come from. And Discord, Twitch, and game mods also accessible directly as well. In addition to that integrated interface, there's also an Xbox button near the left stick that launches an Xbox Game Bar overlay. That gives you quick access to settings, metrics, and fast switching between game titles. The hardware itself has rounded grips, standard Xbox buttons, and micro texture to keep your thumbs from slipping. It also has a 7-inch 1080p 120Hz IPS screen. The base model specs include 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage, while the higher-end Ally X raises that up to 24 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. It also runs on the new AMD AI Z2 Extreme chip that was announced at CES earlier this year. No price yet, but expected release near the holidays. The full-screen Xbox experience will come to other devices as well, including the current ROG Ally and Ally X, as well as other Windows-based gaming handhelds. Interestingly, along with the announcement, Xbox console games began showing up in the Xbox app on all Windows machines, but you can't install them yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought we were going to see Microsoft make this themselves, the way you make like a Surface or something. So it's interesting not only to see them work with Asus on this, but also make it so that eventually it could come to whatever handheld you want. And it kind of sticks Steam and the others in the background. You know, it's not deplatforming them, but it makes them less important.
Well, it just, a challenger has entered the building.
That's right. New achievement. I think this is not going to get buried by the Apple news today, but it is interesting to see this big of an announcement come at the same time, especially when they're not shipping it until the holidays.
Yeah, exactly. It does seem this is a sort of a curious week, I guess, to launch something. But again, sounds like we don't know the price. coming near the holidays, gives people some time to get excited about it.
Yeah, and it's not like Apple's going to announce a handheld gaming device, right? So it seems like a safe niche.
Maybe they did, Tom.
Yeah,
Who knows?
maybe. A security researcher called BruteCat found a way to reveal the recovery phone number associated with any Google account without you knowing that your phone number has been leaked. They were able to bypass rate limiting and then try every permutation of a phone number until the right one worked. And it took about 20 minutes or so per phone number. TechCrunch tried this, and they created a new account with a phone number that had never been associated to Google before, and this guy was able to discover it. The researchers alerted Google in April. That's when they talked to TechCrunch as well. And Google has since patched the vulnerability. So this is an example of the system working. That vulnerability is not there anymore. And Google gave BruteCat $5,000 bug bounty for finding it.
I mean, I guess this would, I mean, we're talking about something that has been fixed, but if it hadn't been fixed, and I have several Google accounts where my phone number is associated as recovery, this could be potentially a pretty big deal. I don't know, you'd have to know my Google account, you'd have to want to get into it, you'd have to be able to have my phone number, but even then I also have my phone number, so it's sort of unclear what's the worst case scenario here.
Yeah, it's probably the worst case scenario is it makes it easier for somebody who would try to do a SIM swap and get a hold of your phone number account to then know which Google account they could try to get into, since they now have control of your phone number account. There are other ways to find out this information. This is just plugging one of those ways and making it harder for people who might want to do this. So probably not a high risk for everybody, but good that they plugged it.
Indeed. Qualcomm agreed to buy chip company Alphawave, which makes chips and connectivity tech for data centers and AI applications. Qualcomm is trying to diversify from being solely reliant on smartphone chips.
Yeah, as ARM designs just become data center chips, kind of smart for Qualcomm to keep finding new ways to sell chips into data centers. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the smartphone chip industry is in flux.
Yeah, quite commodified at this point. We got some non-WWDC Apple news. Apple published a research paper from its scientists called The Illusion of Thinking, Understanding the Strength and Limitations of Reasoning Models via the Lens of Problem Complexity. The scientists presented complex puzzle games to models from OpenAI, Anthropic, and DeepSeek, and found that the reasoning ability of these models increased, as you would expect, to a point after which it declined. The authors concluded that the models, quote, face a complete accuracy collapse beyond certain complexities. So you can read the paper. There's like a kid's game where you like move things around to try to create a tower, and the models all failed at that. It was just too complex, especially for things that it has never seen before. If it's been trained on something, it's one thing. If it has never encountered it, that's where the collapse came faster. Cognitive scientist Gary Marcus noted the paper seems to show that LLMs are no substitute for good, well-specified conventional algorithms, but that they're still useful. They're just not going to, turn into AGI overnight. Marcus added, this does not mean that the field of neural networks is dead or that deep learning is dead. LLMs are just one form of deep learning, and maybe others, especially those that play nicer with symbols, will eventually thrive.
When I read this morning, I was like, now, where are the researchers from? I'm looking, within Apple. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one part of it. This is the LRM, the large reasoning model. Mm-hmm. This idea that, it can reason like a human. This is one of those, like, all right, everybody, let's take a step back. These aren't useless, but we cannot expect them to actually reason.
Yeah, someone on Twitter, and Marcus mentioned this too, pointed out that they actually do reason like a human. They get stuff wrong. Things get too complex.
Yeah, that's true.
We kind of want them to be better than a human, really. And I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it as well. But I like what Gary Marcus's take on this was, which is, sure, this is a pretty solid study, but it doesn't mean the death of LLMs. It just means those sky-high expectations for LLMs maybe need to be taken down a little, and we need to look at other models. The LLM isn't the last model of AI.
Right. Warner Brothers Discovery is following Comcast's playbook, announcing it will split the company into two, starting sometime in the middle of next year. One group, led by current CEO David Zaslav, will continue to run the streaming business, film studios, Warner Brothers Television, HBO, and all of those content libraries. What you might call the profitable parts. The second company, led by current CFO Gunnar Wiedenfels, will contain global networks, including CNN, TNT Sports in the US, and also Discovery. What you might call the profitability challenge parts of the business. No word on what the two companies will be called or how brand deals will work between the two companies. But Comcast previously announced a similar plan for splitting out cable networks from studios and streaming to take effect by the end of this year. If your head is spinning, so is mine.
Yeah, it seems to be the trend now. I'm curious if we're going to see this from the other studios as well, to say cable networks are declining. Let's spin them out into a separate company so we can milk as much profit out of them while they exist without affecting the bottom line of the other parts of the company. It was interesting to me that NBC kept NBC News in the Comcast part, but spun MSNBC out into its separate company that's coming later this year, whereas Warner put CNN in the non-profitable, in the spin-out part, and did not keep any of it, as far as I can tell, in the regular part.
I mean, if you're kind of putting CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, you know, and others kind of on par with each other, I would think those are big parts of the company. So yeah, it's a little curious, but Warner Brothers Discovery has been all over the place for the entirety of their tenure together. So I don't know. I think they're throwing spaghetti at the wall a bit.
Yeah. And I'm hoping they just name them Warner Brothers and Discovery. Wouldn't that be nice? Just split it up evenly.
Yeah. Profitable and non-profitable.
Or just call them that. Warner Brothers profitable, Warner Brothers non.
Yeah, all the other stuff.
The New York Times reports that in December, YouTube changed its training materials for moderators to lean more on the side of public interest. Previously, the guidelines were, if you think the content has 25% that violates content policies, take it down. Now, they're saying it has to be half or more of the content. That change applies to areas that include discussing or debating elections, political movements, race, gender, immigration, topics that would have a public interest. They're moving the bar to leave a few more of those up. YouTube says it has removed 22% more content due to hateful and abusive content this year than last year.
Well, for content creators, this is probably good news because I know a lot of content creators mumble and grumble about stuff getting taken down erroneously on YouTube all the time. So there's that. At the same time, I wonder if content is up there that is not, I don't know. I mean, half of the viewers, don't have a reaction, and it's bad content. Sure, there's a case to be made that YouTube is being lax here, but otherwise, I don't know. This probably makes more sense.
It's a debate.
Less false positives, I guess.
It's a debate between, do you let the listener decide if something's true, or do you let the platform decide if something's true? Yeah. And the line is being moved, and it turns out YouTube moved the line in December. Just people didn't realize it until the New York Times dug up this moderation policy.
Bloomberg reports that Alibaba, ByteDance, Tencent, and Moonshot all paused image recognition services on their AI apps while students take college entrance exams. The exams run from June 7th through June 10th, and students may not use devices during the tests.
China's second largest automaker, Geely, has halted its plans for building more manufacturing plants, this according to Tech in Asia's industry experts. Its EV sales are strong. They rose 92% on the year. Profit grew 52% year over year. But intense price competition in China's EV market has caused some to believe there is too much capacity for production. And apparently Geely is one of those. X
Robotics announced a countertop robot called X Pizza Cube. that uses machine learning to apply sauce, cheese, and pepperoni to pizza dough. It can be modified for different ingredients or different styles of pizza, like Detroit, deep dish, etc. X Robotics says it can save about 80% of the time it takes to prepare a pizza. X Pizza Cube leases for $1,300 per month for 3 years and can make up to 100 pizzas per hour. The new model is quite a bit smaller and less expensive than its previous model because it focuses on helping cooks rather than replacing them.
Yeah, the big deal in this TechCrunch story was that everybody has been trying to make a machine that can make a pizza entirely. And X Robotics was like, what if we just made it easier for the people in the kitchen to make the pizzas so they can make more pizzas and spend more time on other things like, checking on tables or whatever.
Yeah. I ordered pizza last night, Tom.
Did you now?
Don't think it was made by a robot, but it's my favorite pizza place in LA. And when you get it delivered, there's a sticker on the box that says, "Do not microwave me later."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They take it very seriously. Like,
It's the
don't
law.
ruin our pizza, okay?
Yeah.
Put it in the June oven like an adult.
Yes, reheat, but don't microwave. You
Don't do
Philistines.
it. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
jellify our pizza.
We had pizza this weekend. We were up in the Bay Area near San Jose for my niece's ballet, and we ordered pizza. And I was like, well, should we get a small? They're like, no, get a slice. I'm like, will that be enough? They're like, trust me, this place's slices are the size of small pizzas.
Really?
Kind of amazing, but cheaper than ordering a small. Hey, folks, we have a YouTube channel. If you didn't realize, youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show, where you can listen to this show or even watch our live show that Sarah and I do later in the day. You might want to check that out. And do us a favor, if you do, click on that like button. It'll help us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do that too.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Aw, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. And today, Anand Jr. has a short and sweet observation about Apple.
Yeah, no matter what you thought of the WWDC announcements today, Anand Jr. reminds you, Apple is never late, nor is it early. It arrives precisely when it means to.
Yeah, you're holding it wrong, okay?
It is a wizard.
What are you all thinking about? What sparked your interest on the show today? If you have some insights, we would like you to share it with us. Send it to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
Big thanks to Anand Jr. for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for the Daily Tech News Show. Good news, if you want to keep on music news, Daily Music Headlines now available as an Amazon Flash briefing. Add it now. Talk to you soon.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Did you know that foreign investors are quietly funding lawsuits in American courts through a practice called third-party litigation funding? Shadowy overseas funders are paying to sue American companies in our courts, and they don't pay a dime in U.S. taxes if there is an award or settlement. They profit tax-free from our legal system, while U.S. companies are tied up in court and American families pay the price, to the tune of $5,000 a year. But there is a solution. A new proposal before Congress would close this loophole and ensure these foreign investors pay taxes, just like the actual plaintiffs have to. It's a common-sense move that discourages frivolous and abusive lawsuits and redirects resources back into American jobs, innovation, and growth. Only President Trump and congressional Republicans can deliver this win for America and hold these foreign investors accountable. Contact your lawmakers today and demand they take a stand to end foreign-funded litigation abuse.